Hi, blessed beings. How goes you? We've got a lot of rain here in far north Queensland. I'm from Cairns, or a suburb just out from Cairns, and it's been raining here just almost continually with intermittent storms, and I love the weather, but it'd be great for things to dry out a little bit. How's your weather going where you are? Hope all is well for everybody. Okay, let's get going with it, guys. So we're up to chapter 2 of the text, the separation and the atonement. I'm just going to read back the last few lines where we finished off last night. This is part 2, the atonement as defense. So it's just a page and a bit of text, then we'll get straight into lesson number 19 for today. Okay. The atonement is the only defense that cannot be used destructively, because it is not a device you made. The atonement principle was in effect long before the atonement began. The principle was love, and the atonement was an act of love. Acts were not necessary before the separation, because belief in space and time did not exist. Hard to imagine. It was only after the separation that the atonement and the conditions necessary for its fulfillment were planned. Then a defense so splendid was needed that it could not be misused, although it could be refused. Refusal could not, however, turn it into a weapon of attack, which is the inherent characteristic of other defenses. The atonement thus becomes the only defense that is not a two-edged sword. It can only heal. The atonement was built into the space-time belief to set a limit on the need for the belief itself, and ultimately to make learning complete. The atonement is the final lesson. Learning itself, like the classrooms in which it occurs, is temporary. The ability to learn has no value when change is no longer necessary. The eternally creative have nothing to learn. You can learn to improve your perceptions and can become a better and better learner. This will bring you into closer and closer accord with the sonship. But the sonship itself is a perfect creation, and perfection is not a matter of degree. Only while there is a belief in differences can learning... read that last sentence again. Only while there is a belief in differences is learning meaningful. Evolution is a process in which you seem to proceed from one degree to the next. You correct your previous missteps by stepping forward. This process is actually incomprehensible in temporal terms, because you return as you go forward. The atonement is the device by which you can free yourself from the past as you go ahead. It undoes your past errors, thus making it unnecessary for you to keep retracing your steps without advancing to your return. Sounds like going around in circles, doesn't it? Where I lost my spot. Advancing to your return. In this sense, the atonement saves time. But like the miracle it serves, does not abolish it. As long as there is need for atonement, there is need for time. But the atonement, as a completed plan, has a unique relationship to time. Until the atonement is complete, its various phases will proceed in time. But the whole atonement stands at time's end. At that point, the bridge of return has been built. The atonement is a total commitment. You may still think this is associated with loss, a mistake all the separated sons of God make in one another in one way or another. It is hard to believe a defense that cannot attack is the best defense. This is what is meant by the meek shall inherit the earth. They will literally take it over because of their strength. A two-way defense is inherently weak, precisely because it has two edges and can be turned against you very unexpectedly. This possibility cannot be controlled except by miracles. The miracle turns the defense of atonement to your real protection, and as you become more and more secure, you assume your natural talent of protecting others, knowing yourself as both a brother and a son. So I'll quickly mention, it popped into my head, son, brother, father, I mentioned a lot here. At first I was a bit uncomfortable with that. I'm like, what about sister? What about daughter? What about child? So in Jesus' most recent edition, I think, this one was printed in 2020, he does use child of God, sons and daughters of God, a bit more like that. So there's a reason why that is put in there like that more than 50 years ago in the original Course in Miracles text, because Jesus did say at one point there that I think in one of the many Tina Louise Spalding videos, they're free on YouTube, fantastic to watch. She channels not just Jesus but Ananda and many other spiritual beings that are wanting to come through at this time and give their messages of support, guidance and all sorts of things. Pardon me. Jesus was saying at that time that he used those terms deliberately because women have a lot of to trigger women to forgiveness, basically. So when you're feeling triggered, sort of to go into it and just feel it without judgment and just allow it to be there. What are you being triggered to? What's triggering, those emotions that are being triggered come up for release. That's how you release them, by feeling them, not judging them, not deciding that someone's bad or having that reactive attack energy back at someone else because you're feeling triggered by them at something they've said or done. Or sometimes we're feeling triggered by people just because they're there these days. So that's already coming within you. That poison arrow, the poison for the arrow you darts or arrows you're shooting out, that's coming from within you. Okay, so not to judge yourself, same thing, just allow whatever's wanting to come up or come through from your suppressed consciousness to be felt and then released, lovingly released. Yeah, that's my little rant for today. Let's go to lesson 19. Da, 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 da. You see, I'm matching my daughter's artwork here at the back. Okay, I am not alone in experiencing the effects of my thoughts. The idea for today is obviously the reason why your seeing does not affect you alone. You will notice that at times the ideas related to thinking precede those related to perceiving, while at other times the order is reversed. The reason is that the order does not matter. Thinking and its results are really simultaneous, for cause and effect are never separate. Today we are again emphasizing the fact that minds are joined. This is rarely a wholly welcome idea at first, since it seems to carry with it an enormous sense of responsibility and may even be regarded as an invasion of privacy. Yet it is a fact that there are no private thoughts. Despite your initial resistance to this idea, you will yet understand that it must be true if salvation is possible at all. And salvation must be possible because it is the will of God. The minute or so of mind searching which today's exercises require is to be undertaken with eyes closed. The idea for today is to be repeated first, and then the mind should be carefully searched for the thoughts it contains at that time. As you consider each one, name it in terms of the central person or theme it contains, and holding it in your mind, as you do so, say, I am not alone in experiencing the effects of this thought about Margaret. The requirement of as much indiscriminateness as possible in selecting subjects for the practice periods should be quite familiar to you by now, and will no longer be repeated each day, although it will occasionally be included as a reminder. Do not forget, however, that random selection of subjects for all practice periods remains essential throughout. Lack of order in this connection will ultimately make the recognition of lack of order in miracles meaningful to you. Apart from the as-needed application of today's idea, at least 3 practice periods are required, shortening the length of time involved if necessary. Do not attempt more than 4. Okay, so now we're doing lesson 19. I am not alone in experiencing the effects of my thoughts. See if I can get the picture in the middle. You are blessed beings indeed. I am that one you know as Jesus. You are hanging in there very well. We are pleased about the fact that you are here again today. Each day you allow these lessons to go deeper into your beliefs about reality, yourself, and the place you have in existence. The idea that your thoughts are secret and don't affect anybody else are clearly believed by most beings in your society. People think all the time. They often negatively ruminate on things and have absolutely no idea that every single thought they have plants a seed of that very thing they fear. You begin to see how you can create things, like dysfunctional relationships or diseases, by constantly worrying and fretting about things. You don't realize, because you've never been taught the truth, that your thoughts affect everything and everyone. Wow. You are the central, pivotal linchpin in the creation of your life in all of its aspects and facets. You must have an effect because you draw to yourself those experiences, people, places, and things that you see and feel in your life. They come to you from you. This is a very important lesson, one we hope reveals that the mind wandering is, in fact, like laying landmines along your future path. Think about that. If you can plane in your mind and envision a fight with your brother or sister or your father or your mother, you plant that fight in yours and that person's future. The more you do it, the more likely that event comes into physical manifestation. A momentum has to be built. It's true. But most of you who gnaw at a particular subject like a dog with a bone keep going back to it time and time again. Apply yourself to this lesson today. Know it is extremely important that you understand this principle. I am that one you know as Jesus, and we will speak to you again tomorrow. Wow. Namaste, loved ones. See you then.